Archives of Prasar Bharati presents the timeless treasure of golden era.
In today's episode of Mind Watch, we will continue to deal with the problems of adolescence. Adolescence is a time for change, a time to leave behind the carefree days of childhood and shoulder greater responsibilities of adulthood. If the adolescent is not properly prepared for this, or there are certain other problems, they may mean behavioral disorders, emotional disturbances, or antisocial behavior. Let us examine some of the grievous problems of adolescents in today's episode of Mind Watch.
The normally enjoyable phase of adolescence can at times turn into a period of despair and despondency when the adolescent's adaptive capabilities and coping mechanisms are stretched to their limits, resulting in emotional breakdowns, irrational fears, abuse of chemical substances, disturbances of sleep and appetite, loss of self-esteem and confidence that may even result in serious mental illness.
Disorders of emotions in adolescents are generally characterized by feeling low, inferiority, shyness, hypersensitivity, irritability, or social withdrawal, at times anxiety or depression. These may be transient moods or may persist for prolonged periods of time.
And we all know that change, whether it's positive or negative, is stressful. And therefore there will be moodiness, there will be mood swings, there will be periods when the adolescent does not want to do anything, probably just wants to lie in bed, sleep away the whole of Sunday. These things on their own are not indications that there is anything severely wrong with the adolescent.
The abnormalities of the behavior can manifest in terms of communication problems, which can turn into defiant behavior and hostility towards family, siblings, or other extended members of the family.
If it seems like persistently the adolescent has lost interest in activities, is acting in what seems like a bizarre fashion, then it is probable that this adolescent is facing problems, is upset, is undergoing stress which she or he cannot deal with on her own.
This could be extreme changes in the personality, identity problems, mood or affective disorders, substance abuse problems like experimentation, then abuse or addiction to alcohol or other such drugs like marijuana or cocaine or heroin, or severe problems in school like disinterest in school, not having a poor performance in school, or leaving schools altogether. The most severe form could be manifested as a psychosis or problems with stress.
We get children of this age either coming to us because they can't figure out what is happening in their life. Sometimes the parents bring the child because they are not able to deal with the child. In rare instances, the teacher sends the child who has been a very bright student but has suddenly stopped studying or stopped progressing the way he used to.
The problematic behaviors are significant changes in mood that would affect daily living, appetite and sleep, and daily functioning. These are the clinical symptoms of a severe depression, what we call major depressive disorder, and it could be with suicidal feelings.
An adolescent under severe emotional distress or depression could even attempt suicide. Teenage suicide in our country is on the increase and might be attributed to the rapidly changing lifestyles and values that leave the adolescent helpless, confused, and alienated.
Suicides are by far the most serious presentation of an adolescent who is in crisis or distress.
It is indeed a matter of regret that India should have one of the most grievous, I would say, statistics, and that is the second highest suicide rate in the world among adolescents 15 to 25. And this can be seen because of the family problems, maybe due to over permissiveness, to medium, and the terrific tensions and frustrations that the average adolescent in India faces.
Once in a while again, the anger and the aggression can cross the limits of social acceptance when the child gets positively destructive. The destruction can be towards others, or the destruction can be towards one's own self, what is known as deliberate self-harm or suicide.
One of the things that's impressing us most about the change that's occurring is that you're getting more and more young people harming themselves and even actually committing suicide. And this is very disturbing, and something which health authorities and other government authorities around the world are very concerned about.
A suicidal attempt is a cry for help that reflects the ambivalence between the wish to live and the wish to die. It calls for immediate crisis management involving all significant people in the family. Here are warning signs of suicidal tendency: talk or thoughts of suicide or death, previous suicidal attempt, changes in personality or mood, change in eating or sleeping patterns, withdrawal from friends and activities, taking unusual risks, collecting sleeping pills or poisonous substances, giving away prized possessions, history of drug abuse. And here is what you can do. Do not leave the person alone. Remove all sharp objects from his or her vicinity. Keep all pills out of his or her reach. Don't ignore the early warning signs. Don't get panicky yourself. Seek medical help immediately.
The insecurities that plague a growing adolescent can lead to the development of irrational fears or phobias. These are generally related to the school performance or examinations, career prospects, social alienation, or sex related issues.
While group activities and social situations are fun, for most adolescents, a few suffer from intense anxiety when faced with group situations, invoking irrational fears of impending doom that may culminate into a full-grown panic attack.
A social phobia in which the person gets very much afraid, anxious in social situations, social interactions. Now, commonly phobia leads to intense amount of anxiety and difficulty for the person to concentrate. He trembles, he shivers, he has perspiration.
A variety of phobias commonly seen are the school and examination phobias. In school phobias, which is normally encountered in younger children, there is difficulty either in the school atmosphere or with the teachers, or there is excessive attachment at home. In examination phobias, which can be seen at any age, there is either excessive anxiety about the results, or there is over expectations by the parents or oneself.
Nowadays we have seen the competition is very tough, and because of the competition the apprehension is in the parents. So they go on saying that you have to perform better. So instead of just this thing, the child remains all the time anxious and preoccupied whether I will be able to satisfy my parents. So there is too much demand towards the child. So one is that factor. The other, child's personality himself, that he is not able to develop that much of skills to cope up with the examination stress. So he goes into the examination anxiety, or we will say even a panic attacks.
She usually develops fever during the exam time. We have to keep telling her to go and prepare for the exam, but she's unwilling to do so. And by morning she's down with fever.
Examination anxiety, the child is usually having a palpitation, irritability, giddiness, syncopal attacks, muscle twitching, trembling, basically vomiting and pain in abdomen are very common symptoms. Pain in chest also is another very common symptom seen in the children who are having examination tension.
It is a condition which incapacitates the person. So, if the person recognizes that he has irrational fears, then my suggestion or advice would be that he should seek treatment. If the amount of anxiety is tremendous, is incapacitating, then we often prescribe drugs which help in reducing the anxiety. But by and large, the most lasting effects of treatment are derived by what we call as psychotherapy, particularly of the behavior type, where we try and modify the behavior of the person. And the simple principle that we use is that we try and expose the person to the feared situation in a graduated manner, so that he masters his anxiety as he approaches the situation more intensely.
Adolescents under severe stress can also develop strange eating patterns or behavior, some of which are suggestive of severe psychopathology such as anorexia or bulimia. These disorders typically have their origin in the adolescent years.
Anorexia nervosa is becoming commoner amongst our adolescent girls, mainly because they see themselves as too fat. The basic problem with anorexia is supposed to be that the person feels that whatever she eats is too much, and so her whole life is centered around making herself slimmer.
I think girls should be thin so that they should look better and they won't have any health problem and all.
So when the food fat becomes a food, kind of obsession, she has to look at each and everything that she eats, and sometimes she may hide her food, or she may cut up her food in very small pieces, and spend a lot of time eating a very small quantity.
Some of my friends they are so conscious about the figure. They take diet, they count the calories and all. Every day they spend more time in exercise and all than to study.
In fact, it's more of a prevention. The moment they feel that their child is becoming too obsessed or too fixed on being slim and achieving a certain degree of a kind of a figure, or if she keeps saying I'm fat, even though she's not, she's okay, that's when the parents should become worried and consult a health professional.
Some adolescents, instead of trying to handle their conflicts through mature introspection and reflection, actually tend to carry out their conflicts outwardly, that is, in acts which are socially inappropriate, commonly referred to as anti-social behaviors. These behaviors can range from simple lying, cheating and stealing to acts of vandalism, crime or running away from home.
पैसा दे बाबू पैसे वाले 100 का नोट निकाल के कर दे मेरे हवाले सीट डिस्को यही फिल्म में वो लड़का हमारा इतना बड़ा था उसको फिल्म में क्यों रख लिया गया मैं वही सोचा कि यार बताओ इतने बड़े लड़के फिल्म में आ रहे हैं अब मेरा डांस कर रहे हैं.
I want to become an actor, so I have run away from home. My family tried to stop me, but I did not listen to them. I went to Bombay but could not get a chance. From Bombay I went to Madras, and from Madras to Bangalore. Since then I have been travelling from one place to another in hope of meeting somebody. I have decided not to return home till I become an actor.
हीरो चक्कर में आए थे हीरो बन के जाएंगे या तो ट्रेन के अंदर मर जाएंगे चलते चलते.
There are a whole range of externalizing symptoms that one really sees, but the most disturbing of which are basically children who manifest with aggression, especially externally directed physical aggression, and other disturbing behaviors such as stealing, lying, truancy, premature exposure to substance abuse, maybe even sexual promiscuity. So these are the range of symptoms that one sees in conduct disorders.
Before the adolescent becomes antisocial personality disorder, he undergoes various phases. He manifests itself sleeplessness, or anger, or outbursts of anger, or violence at home. These are some of the early symptoms.
Such as aggression, such as anger outbursts, stubbornness, and so on.
This lady, while concealing her identity, wants to talk about her son's problems.
Actually, since 2 years, he was showing an undue attachment to the mother, as well as he whenever his demands are not being fulfilled, he started self-inflicting in the form of hitting on the chest. I had been abroad for quite a lot of time, and he had been left with the grandparents. About 2 years back, when we came on leave, we noticed that he is more agitated. He has a severe hatred towards his elder sister, and he doesn't like his mother to talk with her. And he started demanding for so many things, and these demands are not being met with. He used to start self-infliction. At that time, the mother noticed that it should be a serious degree of severe behavioral abnormality, and she had her consultation with one of her friend psychiatrists, and he confirmed the conduct disturbance.
He is my son Abhishek, and having this problem since last 3 years, and also at that time we noticed that he was having sleepless night, as well as some other problems such as restlessness and not willing to proceed with the studies properly, and lack of attention to our studies and others too.
Everybody at school used to tease me, saying that I was mad. So I stopped going to school.
Initially, violence was not to that extent. With these factors and these difficulties what we noticed earlier, and then slowly some complication developed, and as a result he was often violent.
I think there is an amazing change in the aggressive tendencies of children and unlawful activities in which they are indulging. Starting from major crimes, very sensational, heinous crimes like murders, robberies and things. It can be like thefts, ordinary thefts also, which is very common in any case. But then they can be quite serious also, like organized violent crimes, crimes against property, crimes against human body, all those things they can do. Besides that, unlawful activities of the type that they assemble in groups, let's say on a video corner place, let's say in cinema houses, let's say in hotels and restaurants, let's say in some marketplace, and they indulge in very unlawful kind of activities, which also create some kind of serious law and order problem.
Parents have to take cognizance of these things, take to a mental health care, take to a psychiatrist, and see that these things do not happen. If they don't take cognizance of this one, this is certainly going to lead up to antisocial personality disorder or serious mental health problems in the future.
Often associated with antisocial behavior, but sometimes without it, is the problem of adolescent substance abuse. Unsuspecting, curious, or at times daring adolescents under peer group pressure may succumb to taking alcohol, tobacco or drugs. Often the habits of drug abuse are initiated in the period of adolescence, leading to addictions in adulthood.
Experiment with new things, and unfortunately that also includes experimentation with things that he's seen his adults and heroes doing all over. That's smoking or alcohol, and sometimes now even girls, we find even girls doing the same thing.
In some unfortunate cases, an adolescent who is very tense, who is not able to relate to the parents or friends or the teachers, can get introduced to this unfortunate aspect of use of street drugs.
Because adolescent is a time when there's a lot of emotional turmoil, there are a lot of ups and downs, so the boy or girl may end up drinking or smoking for every little problem in his life.
These are early signs of drug abuse. Unexpected irritation or aggression. Behavior is unusually secretive. Loss of interest in studies, hobbies, and friends. Sudden loss of appetite, excessive daytime drowsiness or sleeplessness, disappearance of money or other belongings.
Adolescence is also that period where those genetically predisposed to having certain major psychiatric illnesses like severe depression, mania or schizophrenia can break down under severe stressful conditions, or sometimes even without it, and have full-blown symptoms.
Unprovoked aggressive outbursts, excited over talkative behavior, dull apathetic emotions, muttering to oneself or suicidal behavior, all indicate a serious psychiatric illness in an adolescent.
As with most psychological problems, adolescent problems are best managed by a collaborative, multidisciplinary effort requiring friends, teachers, parents and professionals. This is a unique period leading to several kinds of psychological problems, but if they can be handled well, the transition can take place very smoothly.
If there are changes which seem to be of a far more upsetting nature, as in there being biological changes, as in there being very bizarre behavior, in that case then obviously the adolescent would have to be seen by a professional.
A timely help purely in the form of listening to the child or a little bit of counseling may not even be a very deep basic counseling. Just a supportive counseling can prevent a catastrophe like depression, psychosis or suicide or drug addiction and drug abuse in this age group.
Now it is not necessary that the counselor has to be a professional counselor. Anybody who can create an environment in which the adolescent feels safe, feels comfortable, feels that he or she can place trust in this other individual. In such an environment, the adolescent can be encouraged to speak about what it is that is troubling this person, and then try and talk out and find out various ways in which the problem, whatever it might be, can be resolved.
Here are some tips for adolescents. Build a positive attitude and be self-confident. Learn to face frustrations and failures. Accept yourself. Don't give in to negative peer pressure. Don't shun responsibilities. Don't shy away from seeking help from elders. And here are some tips for parents. Be supportive and encouraging. Set an example yourself. Involve him or her in decision making. Don't label him as a problem child. Don't criticize him or her publicly. Don't postpone seeking professional help if necessary.
As we draw towards the close of our focus on childhood and growing up years, we want to emphasize that these innocent and colorful years of life are passed peacefully and harmoniously for a majority of children and adolescents. Those few unfortunate to be caught in the turbulent seas and their parents, we want to assure you that the correct intervention at the right time can help you get out of these problems and allow you to forge ahead in life confidently. Till we meet again, take care.
Silent in your tears, wasted in your years. When you cry alone. Recourse to fantasy, living with insanity. Another night beside the phone. Don't your mind feel the pain? Seek your meaning by mind watch. Cage the war within, addictions in the bin. Curl up with your memories, togetherness and harmony.